Hello everyone. Today is 24th of September. Now it's about 6 o'clock in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is a new episode of Headlines, short summary of the news that I will talk about in more detail in today's second update on my Patreon page, on my Patreon and Boosty pages. And if you are not subscribed, and majority of our big community are definitely not, then please consider to join our community on Patreon, on Boosty. Hopefully you will find interesting all this extra content that I have on these pages. That being said, plenty of reports from Russian media about some major developments, plenty of headlines, and let's go through some of it. So first of all, TASS news agencies report about latest update of Russian Defense Ministry on the counter-terrorist operation in the Kursk salient area. And according to Russian Defense Ministry, Kiev regime formations since the beginning of invasion, Kiev regime's militants and mercenaries of NATO lost more than 16,700 personnel in these directions just in the last 24 hours. Kiev regime and NATO mercenaries lost 360 members, fighters. Also 13 different type of military equipment was destroyed as a result of counter-terrorist operation. This is not exactly the headline. I shared a little more news on that. But there you go. Next news, next headline is from TASS news agency. Major General of Russian Armed Forces, Abdialaudinov, head of Akhmat Special Forces, stated that Kiev regime's formations are fleeing their positions in the Kursk salient area in many directions in this Kursk salient and are running away. Also, a report from Russian Defense Ministry that in just a headline from Vzгляд News paper that just in the last 24 hours, Kiev regime lost about 2,000 military personnel. Headline from RIA Novosti that Ugledar city in South Donetsk direction is in encirclement, in a pincer basically, which is correct, by the way. I have some updates on situation on Ugledar. Russian troops definitely take this city in a pincer offensive. That's actually factual. And all the updates, by the way, all the details of this news in my second update on Patreon. Russian Armed Forces, there is a headline from RIA Novosti that Russian Armed Forces conducted a strike on military industrial complex facilities of the Kiev regime, to be more precise, on one of the factories that were conducting some works on engines of the Kiev regime's Air Force planes and helicopters. No headline and the news itself didn't provide some details on the strike, but I guess this strike took place in Dnipropetrovsk, but this is my informed guess, if I may say this way, because it's in Dnipropetrovsk, isn't it, that this famous factory is located, which we used to produce engines for helicopters. But anyways, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Greece is planning to sell about 3,122 millimeter reactive shells to Ukraine, to Kiev regime. I guess talk is about rockets for Grad missile systems. Unfortunate news, dear friends. What can I say? It's always sad when I hear or read news about Greece's involvement in anti-Russian actions, but Greece leadership is totally controlled by Washington and Brussels. So what else should anybody expect from them? I hope Greek people will one day gain back control over their country and their destiny. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that Trump Jr., son of former president and possibly future president, so Trump Jr. Stated that he basically expressed his negative attitude towards Zelensky due to criticism that Zelensky shared with New York Times, criticism of Republican candidate on presidency in US, and if I remember correctly, Zelensky criticized Trump, his ideas about achieving peace in Ukraine, and he said that Trump does not know how to end this conflict, and Trump himself did not react on this, but his son did, and he was not happy about these statements for sure. Also, headline that Ukraine should be realistic. NATO countries' president is stating, and we are talking about president of Czech Republic, who basically said that Kyiv should accept temporary loss of some territory as its conditions for victory are impossible. Czech President Petr Pavel has stated, okay, I will share my take on this comment in a second update. Bit too late, isn't it, for Czech president to act as if he is some sort of adequate individual. Until now, he demonstrated some extreme level of Russophobia, xenophobia. He is definitely sick individual that is a shame of humanity, for sure. Also, Lukashenko, by the way, president of Belarus, stated that even though Minsk don't want to be engaged in any military confrontation, Republic should be ready, and militaries and security services of the Republic should be ready for war and should prepare for war. This is, I believe, second or third time in last couple of weeks when Lukashenko is making more or less similar statements about possible war in which Belarus will be engaged, and I guess he knows something that we don't. He knows something that we don't. Maybe it's only a matter of time, and the Belarusian forces will get engaged in this confrontation against occupying regime in Kiev and its forces. Maybe. And dear friends, after all, one should keep in mind that Russia is directly attacked, right? In its old borders. After this invasion that Kiev regime and its Western masters conducted in the Kursk salient, I did not hear any statement from CSTO member states about willingness to send their troops to defend Russia. Of course, Moscow didn't ask nobody for defense, but CSTO organization will prove impotent. And it is an impotent organization, in my personal opinion, because none of the members stated openly that if Moscow will require, they are ready to send its military personnel to defend member state of this organization. And CSTO was created by a number of former Soviet republics, including Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan. Armenia is also a member, and one or two middle, republics from Central Asia. Tajikistan, I believe, Kazakhstan for sure. So yeah, that's quite a worrisome development, isn't it? That Russia is a part of organization that is clearly some nonsensical organization, impotent organization, because where is the statements from capitals of the member states that they are willing to send their troops to defend Russia, to fight whomever invaded Russian territory? And the very same republics are asking Russia for support constantly and are heavily dependent on Russian economy and Russian assistance. What the heck? This is not right, man. This is definitely not right. But there we go. It's, I guess, up to Moscow to decide, are these member states really allies of Russia or not? Anyways, let's continue. We have Arty's report with the headline that Russia is set to gain access to Atlantic port, which is quite interesting, by the way. Details, of course, in second update on Patreon, but this is quite interesting. I was surprised to read this news, but yes, there is a process which will seems like allow Russian Navy to establish its presence in Atlantics. Okay. Also, headline that Lebanese Hezbollah stated about its missile strikes on Israeli air bases. No details were provided how effective this strike was, but that's what Hezbollah is claiming, that they targeted their Israeli air bases. Same time, Israel itself is conducting new wave of airstrikes on Lebanon, and today there was reports that during one of the strikes on suburbs of Beirut, capital of Lebanon, one of the commanders of the Hezbollah were killed. At this point, casualty numbers are about 3,000, up to 500 people were killed, and more than 2,000 are wounded. And as I said in today's first update, I mean, the escalation is not in the sights for this moment, and therefore we have this headline from Interfax that many avio companies worldwide are canceling their flights, direct flights to Tel Aviv and Beirut, which is of course not really surprising, giving concerns about safety of the flights. Also, Pentagon sends its aircraft carrier group, Gary Truman aircraft carrier, to the Middle East, in addition to whatever assets US already has in the region. And probably I would not be wrong if I will guess that Pentagon currently has at least two another aircraft carrier strike groups in the region. So this one will be third one. And I said many times before, dear friends, that in my personal opinion, without guarantees from Pentagon, without guarantees from NATO that IDF will receive direct military assistance if full-scale war will erupt between Israel and Hezbollah, I don't think Netanyahu's government will dare to start this new level of escalation. So probably because we are observing significant escalation, which according to some experts already are war, then I guess Netanyahu received such guarantees from Washington and other capitals of other major capitals of the NATO. Most likely that's the case, and not surprisingly, US is sending additional aircraft carrier group to the Middle East. Also, headline that from RT that Egypt supplies more arms to its neighbor, to Somalia. Excuse me. Well, interesting headline, especially if we take into account difficult relationships between Mogadishu, capital of Somalia, and Ethiopian leadership. And simultaneously, of course, we all know that Ethiopia and Egypt are in a number of disputes, including about water of Nile. So yes, all the details, dear friends, in today's second update. What else? Interfax reports that Macron's rating are on its lowest point since he became a president of France. Not really surprising. Also, headline that EU accused of blackmailing by applicant state, and this state is Georgia. Another headline that new car registrations levels crashing in European Union. So less and less people are purchasing new cars. Not surprisingly, because many economies, including major or leading economies in EU, are experiencing some significant economical troubles. RIA Novosti is reporting that US is threatening once again Turkish banks that are cooperating with Russian businesses. Is there any country in this world that US did not yet threaten? Or any business in this world? I don't know. And finally, dear friends, I will share with you a headline from TASS News Agency that according to head of biggest Russian bank, Sberbank, German Gref, Russian economy is growth of Russian economy is much higher than expected. And well, in second update, I will share with you some numbers on that. But yes, Russian economy is growing in a much faster rate than G7 economies, for example, which is of course achievement, one may say, especially now when Russia is under 20,000 plus illegal sanctions from the US, EU member states, and their client states. Also, this is it for today's headlines. Relatively longer video for headlines program, but hopefully you will find it interesting and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. As you know, comments and likes are only way we can at least try to influence algorithm to reach wider audience, especially when my channel is on the shadow ban, and very rarely my videos appear in recommendations. And for very same reason, if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet. And if you can, dear friends, please subscribe to my Rumble channel if you are watching my updates on YouTube. So please subscribe to my Rumble channel, to my Telegram channel, subscribe to my page on Twitter. I'm not really active. I just never have time to become really active on X. But I'll try, you know, to work with the schedule. And yes, if you want to hear more news from Russia, of course, you can subscribe to my Patreon page and a Boosty page where I have second updates and many other content. All the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. I will just notice that monthly subscription on my Patreon starts from $5 and on Boosty from 500 rubles, which is about $6. So yes, this is it. I recorded this video headlines. Now I'm gonna record second update about exactly these topics that I mentioned now, although with more details and with my commentary on it. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.